The girl's legal name was Claire Markham, and that was the name the law enforcement officers of the state of Oklahoma would use to look for her. She had the sense to get out of Oklahoma on the day she learned they were blaming her. She plugged in her phone charger and left her phone under her bed and walked over to the house where her best friend, Allison Tompkins, lived and asked Allison to drive her east across the state line. The Seneca-Cayuga Tribal Statistical Area was right up in the northeast corner of the state and was home to about 5,000 people. If you were in Oklahoma and needed to go toward the original Seneca country, that was where you wanted to be to start. Some Senecas and some Cayugas had moved to what was going to be Ohio in the mid-1700s. Later, when history had shaken up most of the East and blown the people west into what was later called Indian Territory, this was where they ended up, with a random sampling of friendly tribes and enemy tribes and tribes that they had never known existed. It was not a bad place, not a vast forest like Ohio still was in those days, but green, with a big lake called Grand Lake of the Cherokees. Claire and Allison took turns driving eastward, and Allison kept going as far across the state line as she could, which was all the way to just south of Joplin, Missouri. She stopped there and called the restaurant where she worked, said she had a COVID infection, and kept going all the way to St. Louis on Route 44. They slept in the car and then moved on when Allison's phone alarm went off at 5:30 a.m. They went to a diner to use the restroom and then shared a big plate of pancakes and sausage before they split up. Claire told Allison that she would always remember her, and anybody else who would ever become her best friend would only be a stand-in for Allison. As Claire watched Allison drive off, she knew that she would never see her again. This reminded her of the deaths in her family. Once she lost sight of them, people weren't coming back, so it was best to turn your face forward as soon as you could manage. Claire had not traveled alone long distances from Oklahoma before, but she'd heard that the best way was to take a bus. She took a city bus to the Greyhound station at South 15th Street, looked at the schedules, and went to the window to buy a ticket. It was before noon, and nobody was in line, so she asked the woman in the window her questions. She learned that the bus trip to Buffalo was 660 miles, that it usually took a whole day and 15 hours, and that it was going to cost her $109. Claire could hardly believe how cheap it was. She wanted to get on the bus right away before they raised their prices. The next bus was not going to leave until 1:15 a.m., and there would be 5 stops with changes of buses and drivers. Springfield Transit Center at 5, Memphis Bus Station at 4 p.m., Nashville at 5:10 p.m., Cleveland at 11:20 a.m., and Buffalo at 4:35 p.m.